Alrighty, so it's hard to believe that we are already doing a moving forward series episode. I think this is the earliest I have done a moving forward series episode ever since I decided to do this series that is pretty much act as a season review for all of these teams that are either eliminated in the regular season, and then we continue as we get to teams that got eliminated in the playoffs, and eventually we will talk about the MLS Cup champion in just a couple of months. But like I said, this is probably the earliest elimination we have ever seen the team suffer in the end of August as well, because I don't remember any team, if I remember that got eliminated this early into August. But that's kind of just a telltale story in terms of how this season has been, and especially in the Eastern Conference as well, where the Eastern Conference it's really the have and the have-nots. The haves are most of the teams that are in playoff contention that are just doing very well so far, not just in the East, but overall in the standings. And then there are the have-nots, which is teams that are near the bottom of the standings, and really the bottom four in the Eastern Conference that are so bad that we're getting to a case where we might see even more elimination heading into match week number 31, and that there could be a case where we can once again see multiple teams getting eliminated from playoff contention, and the calendar hasn't even hit September. But one of those teams that officially got eliminated from this match week is DC United. And as I said before, I want to always give some positive in terms of talk about teams that finish a season dead last. I mean, the old saying goes is that there's nothing but up from now. You can only go up from now. But unfortunately, you can't really say that about this DC team. I mean, this team is just an absolute disastrous state right now. I mean, this might be one of the worst, if not the worst uh, owned team in MLS, and that the ownership group of this team is among the top three in terms of the worst that is. And as a San Jose Earthquakes fan of me have to deal with bad owners, I can definitely sympathize what DC fans are dealing with, and I can definitely understand that DC fans are beyond frustrated with the ownership. I mean, there's a reason why throughout this season we saw the moniker sell the team, moniker that was first famously being made when the Oakland A's were eventually moved to Las Vegas and demanding their owner John Fisher to sell the team. And now it seems like it's not only spread around other teams that have bad owners, but DC United is definitely one of the teams that heard that chant even being louder and louder than any MLS team that I've seen so far this season. And that probably will continue next season as well, because it is pretty clear that the ownership of this team and the front office of this team just they do not care about this team. They're basically running this team to the ground year after year, and it doesn't feel like anything's going to change unless if there's a complete clean house heading into this off season. Now, looking at the records this season, 4-9-15, and currently have 23 points, one of the worst season for DC United. I would say this is right up there in terms of what we saw back in 2013. I think 2013 was even worse, but remember, that was also the year that they won the US Open Cup, and the reason why they were so bad that season is because they were also kind of punting games away. They were putting all their eggs in the basket in the US Open Cup, so you can understand why they have a bad record and finish with a very low points total. You can't say the same thing about this team. I mean, yes, they did make a pretty sizable run to the U.S. Open Cup, made it all the way to the quarterfinal before getting knocked out by Nashville SC. But still, besides that positivity, there's really not much that you can say that is positive about this DC United team. They've only scored 24 goals this season, which is the lowest in MLS, not just in the East, literally the lowest in MLS, and it's not even close to in terms of the goal scoring. And who knew that once Christian Benteke, who has had his fair share amount of being on the injury reserve, and that when he doesn't carry this team on his back like he did last season when he won the Golden Boot, yeah, you kind of can see the bleak reality of this DC attack. Just no threat whatsoever. And the same you can say about the defense too. I mean, the defense has just been an absolute current style as well. 53 goals conceded, the worst in the Eastern Conference. Only the Galaxy and Sporting KC have conceded more goals than DC United, and the goal differential is a horror minus 29 goal differential. I mean, that is I think the worst goal differential we've seen this season as well. They're currently last in the Eastern Conference. Believe it or not, they're currently not dead last when it comes to the league itself. The Galaxy still currently have that wooden spoon spot. But with the way that the Galaxy have definitely played much better, and we'll definitely talk about the Galaxy in the moving forward series not long after. Long after, especially where their season could definitely change in a big way if they once again qualify for CONCACAF Champions Cup and even win the Leagues Cup as well. But that is something that DC would only hope that they can wish to join because they're currently dead last in the Eastern Conference. They're eliminated from playoff contention, and especially with the way that the Galaxy are starting to win games again, and the fact that maybe we could see Ricky Pooch again at the end of the season, that can get the Galaxy to finish the season strong. There could be a case where DC could actually win the wooden spoon. Them and Montreal and even Atlanta, those three teams could be vying for the wooden spoon spot this year. Now, when you look at the top goal scorer of this team, unsurprisingly, it's Christian Benteke. And keep in mind, he missed a huge chunk of time this season, but still are the top goal scorer with 8 goals, followed by Gabriel Priani with 4 goals, João Peglo with 3 goals, Jackson Hopkins with 2 goals, and Jose Kojima with 2 goals. Top assist leader, you got Gabriel Priani and Daniel Schlegg ties with 4 assists, João Peglo with 3 assists, Aaron Herrera with 3 assists, and Matti Patola with 2 assists to round up the top 5 assist leader chart. So no surprise when you see a team that struggle this season, especially on the goal scoring part. You don't have a goal scorer that is among double digit, or you even have an assist leader that has a double digit. They don't even have an assist leader that has more than 5 assists this season. Now, part of that is because they still got 6 more games left in the season, and that of course can change. Benteke can of course score 2 more goals and be that double digit goal scorer. But yeah, I mean that just shows you how bleak the attack is this season when you look at the numbers that they put. I mean, these are numbers that are just ugly numbers to see, especially this deep into the season. Now, looking at the best win of this season, there was really two that I could have chose. I could have chose the 2-1 win that they had against the New York Red Bulls, but the Red Bulls this season have been kind of low mediocre. And I know the Atlantic Cup that's a big win on the road, and that might mean something for DC United. But I really think that the best win this season was the 2-1 win that they had against FC Cincinnati on the road. That was probably one of the best that they played, and probably the most unexpected that result of this season. I mean, Cincinnati was still doing very well up to this point, and I know Cincinnati has had their issue this season at TKO Stadium, but still, I did not expect DC was able to pull off a big victory on the road against the team that is currently fighting for supporter shield alongside with the Philadelphia Union and all these teams that are battling for supporter shield superiority. But the worst loss of the season, what's kind of interesting is that when they had their best win of the season against FC Cincinnati, the very next week they have the worst loss of the season, where they lost 7-1 to the Chicago Fire at home. Yes, I know Chicago is a very good team, especially on the road this season, but still losing 7-1 in that game and be like what 5-0 down after the first half, that was absolutely embarrassing. I could also go with the 6-1 loss that they suffer against the San Jose Earthquakes, and that was a game where I actually attended that one, and I couldn't believe how bad DC was in that game. I mean that was an absolute abomination that they had in that one. But that was a road game. This one is even worse because they just simply got absolutely embarrassed in front of their home ground as well, and lose by that big of a margin. Now, when you look at average attendance, 16,354, that's going to continue to go down. There's no doubt that you can see that within the DC fan base, they do not want to attend games. It's clear that the boycott is in full effect right now, where you have seen DC fans that have openly say they refuse to go to games. Even the fan base have encouraged people to not go to games as well, and even spend a dime in terms of merchandise and concession, because why would the fans want to watch this much of a disaster that's unfolding in them, and continue to support an ownership group, which uh, this is going to be a common theme I'll say in this moving forward series about DC. This ownership group clearly does not care about this team. Now, look at the MVP of this team. I really can't come up with anything. Normally, I would maybe think about someone, even for the worst team in the league, or at least one of the worst team in the league, that is. But I really can't. I mean, maybe Christian Benteke with the 8 goals that he scored, but I don't think he kind of qualified because he spent more times on the IR this season than actually on the pitch. Disappointment. This one was pretty tough. Not because it was tough in terms of choosing anyone because there was a lot of option I could have chosen in terms of this disappointment. But in the end, I'm gonna go with Gabriel Priani. It seems like he is probably one of the most hated man right now in the DC fan base. A guy that is promised to be the guy that maybe take the shoulder off of Benteke a little bit, and he has not produced whatsoever. It's gotten so bad to a point where he's had that open conflict early this season, which listen saying as well. So yeah, things are definitely not going great for him. Things are not going great with this team, and that again, like I said, the DC fan base, from what I heard, they have really singled out him as a really big disappointment for this team. Now, in terms of revelation, again, this is a tough one because there's really not a lot of players on this team that I could consider revelation. I mean, if this was last season, I would have got easily gone with Ted Pietro, who was easily their best young player, and now he's of course shipped off to the Colorado Rapids. So instead, I'm going to go with Jackson Hopkins. You know, he scored again in the last game against Miami, and he's a very hardworking kind of player. I mean, this DCC Academy, there are definitely some hidden talent on this academy, but unfortunately, it's kind of been ruined because again, the team that they're thrown into is just an absolute mess right now, and they really can't develop any talent whatsoever. And it's hard to develop talent if you're a youngster when you're joining a team that is just pretty much bottom out week in and week out like that. So I do feel bad for Jackson Hopkins, and there's no doubt that won't be surprised if some of the more talented youngster from this DC team, especially players coming out of the academy, not only are playing with Loudoun United, who no surprise that that team is doing much better in the USL Championship. It seems like a lot of those academy players are playing with that team and finding some better success and some better development because I think it's easy to say that if you're a young player, you rather want to be on a team that is more wellly coached and also wellly run as well to continue development. And unfortunately, DC is the complete opposite of what I just said. Now, looking at what went right for this team, again, gotta nitpick because anytime when we talk about bad teams, you gotta have to really nitpick in terms of what went right. So at least Benteke is still a beast when he's not injured. He's still a guy that can score head and goal, and probably the most terrorized guys when it comes to try to defend him from the corner, and even when the ball comes into the box. Like you do not want to be the defender to have to take care of Benteke when the ball is floating into the box. He is such a aerial threat, probably the best aerial threat weapons in MLS right now, and it's kind of been that case throughout his career. They also are not last in the standings, so yay, I guess. And then, of course, I would also maybe put that at least they made a pretty good run in the U.S. Open Cup. I mean, for a team that is dead last in the Eastern Conference, you wouldn't expect them to make it all the way to the quarterfinal, but yeah, they did made it to the quarterfinal, and to no one's surprise, in the game when they play against Nashville, they got absolutely exposed because yeah, when you face against a Nashville team among one of the best in the Eastern Conference, even if they don't put their squad, they're a team that can definitely run this DC team out of the window relatively quickly. So what went wrong with this team? This is a wooden spoon quality of a roster. I mean, when you look at how this roster is being built and all the players that is on this roster, it's very hard to say that any of these players would belong even among the mediocre team in MLS. Maybe Benteke. Benteke might be the only one that might have some value if he is going to be traded. But when you look at this roster, I mean, it just feels like it's a USL level of a roster, and I would even argue maybe even some USL Championship side might have a better roster like that. That's how dire things is with this DC team. The front office, of course, making baffling decisions in terms of constructing the roster. So if you wonder why this is a wooden spoon quality roster, well, it's because the front office are basically constructed this roster. It feels like they are completely clueless in terms of how to even get the most mediocre kind of roster to be built with, and that they also are making baffling decision in terms of signing players as well. I mean, when you look at the recent signings that DC has had, none of them has been a hit. I mean, the only guy I can think of is Christian Benteke, but that's not hard to do. Consider we knew that he was going to be a key for this DC team, and that's kind of the case for these last two seasons ever since he joined. But an example of the baffling decision, trading for Caden Clark for 800,000 general allocation money. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Caden Clark as a Minnesota United fan as well. I enjoy watching him during his time with Minnesota, even though it was kind of frustrated to see him not performing the way that he is, and I continue to kind of follow him during his time with Montreal, where he started well, but then kind of diminished after that. And yeah, to give a guy that much amount of money for a guy that doesn't have a lot of confidence and hasn't really been in the best of form, that feels like it's the front office. Only a DC United front office can make that kind of move, and you wonder why the squad is built so poorly when they're giving out trading for players that are just nowhere near in terms of the value that they need to trade for, and just are completely overpaying for those players as well. And then of course the ownership group, that's is the big issue with this team. It's among the top three worst in MLS. I think besides John Fisher with the San Jose Earthquakes, though he is in the process of selling the team. And then of course we see the ownership group in Montreal that is also so very bad. We'll talk about that pretty soon as well, because Montreal is one of the next team that is going to be eliminated from playoff contention very soon. You could say DC is among the worst one as well. Some might even argue that they might be the worst right now in MLS. Again, this ownership group, they just don't care about this team whatsoever, and the fans have spoken and have voiced their frustration throughout the season that they demand this ownership group to sell this team. Now, moving forward for this DC teams, speaking of which, that's kind of something we're going to continue to see next season. So if you have seen this season with the fans making sell the team chant being heard throughout the game, you're going to hear more of that heading into next season as well. Now, I also won't be surprised if DC United decided to do even a worse thing, which is decided to silence those fans of saying sell the team, and maybe even kick out some of the fans that decided to do that. I believe when the Oakland A's fans tried to do that, there were definitely I heard there was a rumor that they actually kick out fans because of saying that certain chant. Not quite sure if it's exactly true, but I wouldn't be surprised if that could be the case here. And again, when you have a poor ownership like that, and just an ownership that has started to become a dictatorship, like what we see with these DC ownership group, that might be something we could see in future games as well. And as I said, next season, if they can get a new ownership, if this ownership group decided to realize that, yeah, I think the fans has been spoken, and if they have any dignity left in their mind, they would definitely sell the team. And the same goes for this front office, maybe a complete change as well, because again, this is really a team that I think in order to not only start this rebuild and get themselves out of this doom and gloom situation, they need to change everything from top to bottom. Everything is absolutely poison with this team right now. And then last but not least, moving forward, the new head coach Rene Valder. Yeah, I wish him good luck in terms of trying to work out this mess. In fact, if he can even get this team to be a playoff contention heading into next season and drag this team to overperform, he's got to be considered coach of the year. Because as I said many times before, it doesn't matter which head coach pick this job with DC United. Heck, you can even maybe get Bruce Arena to come to this team. And I know Bruce Arena has done a good job for most of the team, although this season it's been a season where there's been frustration, even though with him taking charge of this Quakes team. But you can even bring back Bruce Arena in this team, and I don't know if it will make too much difference because of the way how this team is constructed and how this ownership are not allowing the front office to spend, or even the front office not allowing the head coach to decide what kind of players that they want to. And when you add all that to the factor, feels like it's going to be the same old heading into next season for DC United. So either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button. And like I said, I wish I can give some positive for DC fans out of this moving forward series, but I really can't, because it just feels like it's doom and gloom with this team. And that this team, when you look at all the MLS team right now heading into next season, they're probably in the worst state out of any single team. And that's saying something, because you would have expect me when I do the Montreal moving forward series. At least I'll say about Montreal the fact that at least the ownership and the front office acknowledge the fact that they are doing very bad, and can hear the frustration, and have actually decided to make some moves to make some change heading the next season. I haven't really quite seen that with this DC team this summer transfer window, or even in the off season as well. And it just again, it's going to be the same old heading into next year. And I feel bad for DC fans. I really do. This is a team that, with all the history that this team has, people forget that this is the original dynasty of MLS. This is the team that has the first ever dynasty in MLS history. For such a historic club like that, it's just such a shame to see how things have gone, and how much of not just a downturn that they are, but they're just simply hit rock bottom as a point where this is probably the worst stretch that this proud franchise have ever got, and that's saying something. Consider this team has had some bad stretches throughout, even going all the way back a couple of years when they were also among the worst team in the league as well. But there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.